Hi, everybody. It's Christian McBride, and it is indeed a great honor for me to congratulate all of you, the San Francisco Conservatory of Music class of 2021. You did it. I can't wait to see some of you out there on gigs because I know that's going to happen. I'd like to thank David Stahl for giving me this opportunity to speak with all of you and make this video. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but we are slowly headed back toward that way when we can all be together again. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee at the moment. My first time actually leaving my home for the first time in 14 months. And when I think about the last 14 months, how that's affected our world, what I would have said to you in 2019 is so far removed from what I'm going to say to you today. I've worked really hard at trying to figure out what do you tell someone graduating from college, or when they're in their early 20s and they're really just about to get on that adult rhythm. I mean, many of you have already been on that adult rhythm already, but that's that level of civic responsibility, humanistic responsibility. What does that mean now versus, in February of 2020, before anybody knew what COVID-19 was? Coupled with the fact that in just a couple of days, I'm going to be 49 years old. Now that's compared to most people, that's like right in the middle. You know what I mean? A lot of people in the jazz world, oh, you're a baby, but no, 49 is not a baby. And so coupled with the pandemic and thinking about what it means to be pre-50 and speaking to people graduating from college, what do I say? I've been stumped for the last several weeks, I got to tell you. But I started to think that there's a couple of things that will always ring true, no matter what's going on. If there's a pandemic, no matter what the age bracket is, no matter what generation you're from, no matter what style of music you play, there are a couple of things that will always remain tried and true. And I like to talk about those things with you today. Number one is fearlessness. Fearlessness. I had a talk earlier today with 5 amazing vocalists. One of my roles in my professional career is that of artistic director for jazz programming with New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And one of our flagship events is the Sarah Vaughan International Vocal Competition. And we've been doing it since 2012. And today I spoke to some of the former winners, 2 of whom were Jasmine Horn and Cyril Ame. I'm sure you're familiar with the both of them. And we started talking about what the word competition meant. And that's not a word most musicians tend to really embrace with open arms, because we like to say, well, it's all about community. We all want to help each other. Everybody has a voice. Everybody should be heard. We all want to be kind of in the same boat together. And what was interesting hearing these vocalists talk about competition. Cyril Ame said, look, no, I'm not a real big fan of the word competition, but I'm going to tell you, the kind of atmosphere that a competition creates actually makes me want to work harder. It makes me want to work harder, and I learn things, to be in a situation where you're being judged, where you don't have to be in a competition for that. People are going to judge you no matter what. That's just something you just kind of have to take, But to hear these ladies say how it didn't scare them whether they won or lost because they had a vision, My vision is the most important thing. Winning this competition or just being in this competition is just a stepping stone to help me with my vision. My vision is to get inside of the scene, meet musicians, make contacts, go jam, go sit in. If I win the competition, that's great. But if I don't win the competition, that's cool. The judging of our artistry is secondary to what my goal is. And I found that very, very refreshing, because I know we now are living in a world where we rightfully are reassessing what it means to be a human being, how we treat people, how we embrace people, how we elevate people. We're dealing with systemic racism, and there's so much about our everyday lives that is being intensely reassessed. And again, I say rightfully so. But there is the issue of being fearless in a culture where fear and anger run rampant. So how do you achieve a goal, and how do you stay fearless when you're constantly kind of like this every day? You got to do this. You got to be mindful of. Now, granted, you shouldn't have to be too mindful in just being nice to people. That you shouldn't have to be too mindful of. But we're in a Twitter world, a Twitter takedown world. Nobody reads anymore. It's all about the headline, the shock value, who did what. Now, how are you supposed to concentrate on your goal when you're getting hit with that all day long? Let's go back to being fearless for a second. When I would have graduated from college in 1993. I was going to Juilliard, but then I wound up going to the University of Freddie Hubbard. Got my degree from Freddie Hubbard, and from there I went to the University of McCoy-Tyner, and then I went to Pat Metheny State College, and I went to Chick Corea University, and went to some really great schools. I went to Joshua Redmond and I, we joined forces around around that time, and I learned a lot from him. But in 1993, I was 21 years old. At 21 years old, what were the things that were really impacting our culture at that time? One thing, sadly, that hasn't changed is police brutality. That's been a thread in our culture for too long, far too long. But I remember 1993 sort of being the end of the crack epidemic. We were still right in the thick of we were starting to come down a little bit from the HIV/AIDS epidemic, a little bit. It was not as intense as it had been in the late 80s and like 1991, 92. So there were a lot of things that we had to deal with in 1993. But in 2021, my hat's off, because I really think it's going to be difficult to be fearless in an age of today, when everybody's watching you, everybody's on their phone, everybody's just waiting for you to screw up. They're waiting for you to screw up so they can make you look bad or make you feel bad on social media. Don't join the mosh pit. Don't join the mosh pit. I admire people who keep a low profile on social media because they're goal-oriented. Pick your goal. What do you want to do in your career? Who do you want to play with? What kind of music do you want to make? Where do you want to be in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Write that down. Get a plan together. And you know what? Don't let anything get in the way. Obstacles are only obstacles if you accept them as obstacles. I just think of them as puzzles. Probably the biggest goal that I ever achieved was getting to play with James Brown. It's a long story, so I'm not going to tell you now. But I knew that getting to play with James Brown was going to be hard. It was going to be hard. He was not an easy man. Not an easy man by any stretch of the imagination. And I knew that like trying to get close to James Brown was almost like trying to get close to the sun. You're going to get burned. History shows anybody that gets too close to James Brown, it's going to get deep. And it got deep. But I understood that came with the territory. If I wanted to get close and play with this eccentric legend genius of a man, you got to take what's coming with it. I took what came with it. I went through a time where, James Brown cussed me out on the phone one time, told me I had no talent, I couldn't play the bass. Now, when it happened, it was devastating, right? But then, once the shock wore off, I realized that, yeah, I can play the bass. He's just having a temper tantrum. Now, of course, if this were 2021, I could have gone to Twitter and be like, James Brown is an awful man, and then it would have started a firestorm, and then there goes James Brown, right? But at that time, I had to take it. And I realized that as hurt as I was when he did that, my goal was more important. You want to play with this man because this man's music is so much of the core of your being, right? Deal with it. You knew that was coming. Deal with it, right? I got to play with James Brown. He was the nicest man to me. He had his flare up, his temper tantrum was all over, and we played together at the Hollywood Bowl. But I wanted it that bad. I wanted it that bad that I said, look, I know trying to achieve this goal is going to come with some gut punches, some left hooks, some right crosses. I can take them. I just want my goal. That's what you guys got to have. You got to have a goal and be fearless. Keep your head down. Well, actually, no, excuse me. Keep your head up and look at the goal. Don't look at all that BS underneath. This is all BS. None of that stuff means anything. Keep your goal in mind. Think about what it is that you want to do. Think about what you have to do to get to your goal and do it. Do it. Somebody tells you suck. It's okay. It's okay. Don't be offended. You actually might suck. Sorry, you just might, And then you'll have to say, you know what? Nah, they're right. It hurt, but they might be right. Let me go share it harder. You go back and then you deal with it, right? And then they'll be like, ooh, okay, you bad. Come on, Don't let anything get in your way. Do not let anything get in your way. Be fearless. Now, when you tell people be fearless, oftentimes that means, you got to be hard. No. I think it's just the opposite. I think it's the exact opposite. Being fearless means that, your humanistic antenna is up very, very, very high. It means your frequency is in tune with where everybody is, and you can deal accordingly. I've always tended to be a kind of person, I like fighting fire with water. Somebody's coming at me hard, I go at them soft. Somebody comes at me soft, I don't go hard. I just do something complimentary. You know what I mean? And so I really believe being nice to people, not being defensive, because everybody's not out to get you. No matter what they tell you, everybody's not out to get you. They're not. I'm not out to get you. I just want to play some gigs with some really good musicians, So don't worry. If I ever meet you in person, I try to give you a hug. That's all I want. What up? How you doing? I'm not out to get you, So be nice to people. Be nice to people. I think that's part of being fearless. Being nice to people is actually fearless. Being fearless these days, strangely enough, being nice to people is actually a rebellious act these days. Being nice to people means that you're going against the norm. How crazy is that? I want to talk about fearlessness, being a human being, and harmony, because it all is part of the same thing. As a jazz musician, when you think of harmony, as a bass player, I'm anchoring the harmony, I'm anchoring the rhythm. But there's also there's a fearlessness, there's a human side in my approach to harmony and how this all comes together as you start your post-collegiate life. Think of the world as a piano. Everybody is, when you think of people, don't think of a person. Just hypothetically speaking, think of people as notes, right? I'm B flat. Somebody next to me is a G flat. The person with the G flat is an F sharp. Think about that. They have the same note. They just have different names, right? Somebody else in the room is a C natural. Somebody else is an A flat. How you gonna make harmony out of that? How you gonna make harmony out of that? You gotta think of the blend. You gotta think of all of these different notes in the room and figure out how to make a really nice chord. Some really nice counterpoint. Something that's going to make it interesting and musical. Approach life this way. Everything is a note, Unfortunately, sometimes you got the rebels who are going to mess up your chord just to mess it up, because they like doing that. You got a nice B flat major 7, sounds really gorgeous and full, and a B natural just comes into the conversations, go, you know what I mean? That's just part of the deal, So what do you do with that B natural? Let it ring out. It'll make your chord a little bitter, but perhaps the A natural can go to an A flat. Maybe that A natural can change their tone and go down a half step to accommodate the B natural. Now you got a nice B flat 7 flat 9. The chord is not quite as dissonant as it was, right? We're all notes. Take the time. This is part of being a human, being selfless. That A natural could have said, no, I'm an A natural, and that's the way I'm going to be. And you're going to take it whether you like it or not. I'm going to fight with this B natural, because this B natural is going to have to understand that's not a part of this conversation. Or you can just simply say, you know what? Let me move back a half step so I can let you in. A B flat 7 flat 9 is still not as sweet as a B flat major 7, but you can work with it. You know what I mean? Because a B flat 7 flat 9 now leads to a nice, beautiful E flat 7 or E flat major 7. You know what I mean? So we're all notes. We're all notes. The world is a piano. Think about how to make some good harmony, some good counterpoint. You know what I mean? We got to stop bogarting our notes all the time. Let's be all 12 notes in the scale. You don't have to be one note. Accommodate the other person, Hey, and by the way, the G flat and the F sharp, hey, look, you got different names, but you're the same note. That's cool too. You know what I mean? And if the B flat goes, y'all are the same. Well, why y'all? Oh, I see. All right. Just like with the F sharp and the G flat in the room, they have different names, but they're the same person. You know what I mean? Same thing with the a C flat and a B natural. You know what I mean? Now, it's rare to find a C flat. But when you see a C flat, you'd be like, I know you're a B natural. No, I'm not a B natural. I'm a C flat. Like, all right, I got you. Right on, C flat. You know what I mean? So it all depends on what the scale is, right? It all depends on the scale. But we have to be really all about trying to make some harmony. We can't bogart our note all the time. And if you, like I said, if you're in a situation where people like to bogart the note, accommodate them. Accommodate them. Make some harmony. Make some music. Be fearless. Be selfless. That goes together. Being selfless and being fearless. Make harmony. Love each other. Pay attention. Look over the BS and keep your goal in mind. Stay off of this thing so much. It's killing humanism. It is. Sorry, it just is. I'm not a gray-haired, almost 50-year-old guy. I just know the world is looking down all the time to find out how many records they sold, i.e. Facebook likes, Instagram friends. Forget that. Think about the people who actually mean something to you when your phone is dead. That's who matters, you know. Not how many likes you got, not who's retweeting you, reposting you, means nothing. I mean, you know, from a business standpoint, it might mean something, you know, but that's not what we're talking about humanism here, you know, talking about treating people a certain kind of way, you know. So with that, I look forward to meeting all of you. I look forward to all of you making harmony out there in the world. I look forward to all of you hugging each other, being nice to each other. If you have an argument, if you have a fight about something, it's all right. Just shift the notes so you can make the chord. It ain't going to be easy sometimes. Sometimes that chord might be so dissonant, you just might be like, let's, new root, please, new root. We can't find a root? Oh, let's just go fourths. You know, everybody spread out to perfect fourth. But that's what life is all about, man, making harmony. So I congratulate all of you again. Stay human, stay fearless, stay nice. All right? I'm Christian McBride, and I approve of this message. Peace.